Hello there, good evening, and welcome to all you night owls. Welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve O'Martin, and it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you back for this very late in the PM episode of Celtic World Order as we take a wee look back at our opening game in that Europa League campaign. Of course, it's incredibly late, but what else are you going to do? I like to enjoy after the match. I like to watch all those sort of chatters around. I like to watch the press conference or the sort of post-match and take it all in. But yes, we'll talk about it. And I don't know about yourselves, but to me, it feels a wee bit like it's similar vibes to the Dinamo Zagreb. I think that it feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. It was a game that was very much sort of flipped and flopped. It was sort of even flowed back and forward, but there was a point where we actually looked quite good in it. And then in typical Celtic in Europe style, we obviously lose a goal. The tide turns a wee bit, things start to get a wee bit sort of different there, and you think that, well, here we go, Red Star are going to pull out the bag. But of course, then we have other chances well in the match. Over the balance of it, I think that you walk away with it and go, we got the point, and that's a good start. A waypoint will always be good in Europe. But I think when you look back and you really take the initial sort of feeling out of it, Red Star Belgrade weren't a fantastic team by any stretch of the imagination. We let them get into the game. And I also think that when you look at our squad, when you look at how we played, that people don't want to hear it. But this squad, this Celtic team, this is very much their level. And that's by design. But this is our level. This is what we're playing at a season. And let's see where it takes us. So, anyway, we'll get into all of it. Get yourselves with your opinions in there. Let us know what you thought. Individual players. What did you think of the result? Do you think it's a good point? Do you think it's a bad point? What do you think could be improved? Do you think that the manager get the lineup right? Let us know. Get them in. I want to try and get you guys as involved as much as I possibly can. Any questions, anything you want to ask me? As I said, any opinions you've got, fire them up because that's what I want to do. I'm on my own tonight and I just want to try and get you guys involved as possible. Do bear with me. You can still hear the throat. I was off the back of my cold and I've got a wee dose of tonsillitis. So I will apologise for my dulcet tones. I might not be as charismatic and energetic as normal. I've got the honey on standby. I've got my water here and we'll get through this, but I'm not going to keep you too long. So anyway, as well as in the channel, let's get down to business. But before we do, hit the subscribe button. The community's growing. We're just short of 2,500 subscribers. We're really appreciative of every single one of you. Hit that subscribe button. The content's free. It'll always be free. It just helps us grow this community. If you want to help us elsewhere, you can get yourselves involved with the members section. It's a wee donation to the channel, helps with equipment, helps with overheads, helps put it together, helps with the stickers, helps with stuff we get away, and it's all good. And of course, our multiple social medias, links below in the description. Go and check that out. So let's get in about it, and I'll try and bring up a few. There's a few coming in nice and fast. As you know, everybody in their granny was on tonight, so I'm a wee bit late. As I say, I just like to sort of take it as it comes. Everybody in their granny, podcasts for every angle. We're out there. People have been on all the time. People have never been on, but that's it. And that European football is going to get some excitement. It's going to get bodies out there. And it's not about when you come on. It's as long as you guys come and get involved in it. And we'll have P. McLaughlin, one of the originals, a good follower of Celtic World Order, is in the house here as well. And as again, we've got Mr. Nobody 1888 two badge side tonight. Yeah, it did. I feel a wee bit sort of conferencey vibes. I must be honest with you. As I said there, it might not be what people want to hear. Of course, we'll always say in terms of our stature, in terms of our history, our reputation, where we were last season, we consider ourselves to be a Champions League club. And I've said this and I've argued the toss as a fan, as a Celtic fan, as somebody who, just Celtic obsessed, and I will not say past my own team. I believe that we should always be dining at the top table. I really, really do. But the reality of it is we didn't prepare. We didn't get there, as the manager said in his press conferences, because how many times did he get asked that question? In the Champions League, what does this do? Blah, blah, blah. And he says, well, we're not there. This is what I've got. Let's focus on that and let's talk about it. And this is our level by default of the fact that it's what we earned by not properly planning. This is our level. But I also, as I say, to reiterate what I said just a couple of minutes ago at the top of the show, this feels very much like this squad's level because we didn't develop. Now, you could argue even if this squad were able to scrape through and get in the Champions League, you go, we're a Champions League team. But realistically, if we did get to Champions League, how many players were we really going to add to that squad? Probably not a lot. So you would have had maybe give or take one, maybe two at a push additional players on top of it, which have still felt quite light. And I do feel that the squad, what we have at this moment in time, is very much a Europa League team. I really, really, really do think that is the case, and we'll get in about it. So let's get ourselves straight involved. It's good to see some of you in there, regulars in there. We've got Brown Warrior. Good to see you there. And of course, we have Plunge in there. And we'll go on to Maeda. I fully agree with what you're saying there. And he also comes on there as well and says, a battle and draw against a piss poor side. Took the words out of my mouth. I don't know if you caught it at the front end there, San Fran, but that's exactly what I said. I turned around and says that I felt that it was a poor team. It felt Dinamo Zagreb vibes. It felt like we had, looked sort of interested for wee bouts off it. We probably could have done a wee bit more. We could have capitalised on chances, but then equally, when you look at it, bar some fantastic defending, which we'll get into performances, and of course, some bad finishing by them. Yeah, it was very much a very even game. As Steve was saying, a good point, but let's face it. Oh, he wins in Europe in 15 as a joke. Yeah, it's not great, Steve, and it's definitely something that we are going to have to improve on. When you look at this, I think they say that the show that the results, the supercomputer had said that Celtic apparently had the third worst possible fixtures in the Europa League. I don't know about you guys out there, but when I look at the teams and I think, yeah, do you know what? There's some decent teams that I think, am I going, oh my God, that's unbelievable. What a terrible draw. No, I don't. But at the same time, when I look at this Celtic squad, when I look at where we are at this moment in time, and I see the deficiencies of the squad, I think it's going to be hard just simply based on the lack thereof quality that we have. Mickey is in and he is on the YouTube. Says Hill Hill Trips, only sort of second half, but I take the point and move on. We look puffed out until the subs come on. Absolutely. I think that when we look across the performances, there was a lot of guys that looked as if they were starting to tire. I think as well there was a lot of empty jerseys. Again, and it's one of those things, isn't it? Like folk will say, what are you complaining about, Steve? Get a draw. But when you look at the fact that we took the lead, even though to me that felt like a wee bit sort of against the sort of what was to be expected for that game, we very quickly get undone by basic simple things, and we always really struggle with these balls in the box, these set pieces, the cross balls, and it felt really sort of self-designed, self-inflicted, and probably, yeah, do you know what? You will take the point, of course you will. Hopefully, it comes to be a valuable point. But at the same time, when you look at it and you go, man, we just really should have got past a team like that. So anyway, let's jump straight in and have a wee look, as we always do. As I says, what we'll do, we'll touch on some of the action, but I don't want to go blow for blow, minute for minute and stuff like that. We'll talk about some of the sort of key points, but let's just start for the big jump off point. Now, when I saw the team lineup coming out, I'll be honest with you, I was quite surprised. Very, very surprised. Now, I think that the backline pretty much takes care of itself. I think that there was multiple guys in that backline who should be getting praised. Donovan skills in particular to me were outstanding. I think Carter Vickers had a bit of a shaky game, but he started to find his way and he made one or two sort of key interceptions. But by and large, I was impressed by Scales. I was impressed by Donovan. Now, the big thing here for me was that central three. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to try and get some of these up here because I've seen a lot of different stuffs here. But oh my, I just feel that this will be the hill that Brendan Rodgers will die on. I think that he will just continually. He's got a wee bit of the Gordon Strachan's about him. He's got that kind of no, no, those are my guys. I'm sticking by it. Do you know what I mean? He has that kind of. He's got that kind of stubbornness about him, and I think when you look at Negrin, McGregor, and Hatate, for my money at least, I just don't think that it's really clicking. I just don't think that there's enough urgency. I don't think there's enough creativity. I think that they are very much just all cancelling each other out. Now, what I will caveat and say there was, I've got my notes in front of me here, and it says, in the early stages, the early sort of 15 minutes, I thought, oh, forward movement. It actually looks not too bad. The midfielders are trying to get on the ball. They're trying to make forward passes. And I actually said, and it's going to be funny because I've totally flipped. I had Hatai and Cal McGregor, where I says, looked lively, says my notes there, looked lively, trying to find forward passes. Now, Hatate was trying to find forward passes. He was getting on the ball. And as I says, normally it would go into midfield and then it would go back to the defender, into midfield, back to the defender, out to the left or out to the right, so on and so forth. We weren't doing that early on. And I thought, right, here we go. This is something different. I quite like this. Hatate was constantly trying to find the forward pass, but it just wasn't working, was it? It was classic Hatate, where when I really think about it, and we sit here, and I know Paddy loves him, and we sort of troll over his performances, and I think the reality is when was really the last performance that Hatate had where you went, yeah, absolutely baller. Like, I mean, I don't mean like a fleeting performance. I mean a start to finish, full game performance where you went, wow. In my opinion, probably under Ange Postecoglou. And he feels very much like a guy that's living on past glories. And when I looked at him tonight, I thought, he looks sharp, he wants on the ball. But then when you can forgive in the early stages, you think, oh, he's trying to be positive, and he starts, giving the ball loose passes and so on and so forth. You kind of go, right, okay, he's trying to find his feet. But it just kept continuing and continuing and continuing. You're like, right, here we go again. Here we go again. Cal McGregor, lots of pointing, we know, but what I will say is less back passing. And then I look at Nygren. Now, I know that Nygren takes the scruff of the neck, he runs, he drives, he gets in, and he basically sets up the goal for Iheanacho, which will go on, it was just a classic. But when I look at Iheanacho as well, not Iheanacho, sorry, when I look at Nygren, I feel that, I don't know, I feel slightly cheated a wee bit by him. I feel that during the pre-season, I was like, wow, this guy, what a bargain. This guy looks amazing. Now, I'm not saying by any stretch before you jump on, I'm not saying that he's a bad player, but you quickly realise that he is quite one-dimensional in what he does. And during the pre-season, you thought, oh, this guy's exactly what we need. He's exactly what we need. And what's ironic or funny and strange is when you look at his stats, see if you take Nygren's stats for a season, you look at what he's done, the stats, the paper tells you that he's doing his job and he's doing it well. He's got great attacking threat. He takes a lot of shots. He drives with the ball. You name it, he does it. However, I always say about these things in your head, the eye test. The eye test versus the stats don't really marry up to me. And I feel that maybe at times he feels like a wee bit of a luxury player. And I felt that tonight where he kind of moves about the pitch and he looks busy, but how much impact is he really truly having? As I says, he had that moment, don't get me wrong, he had one or two good deliveries in the box, and he had that moment where he just kind of drove at the defence and he gets the ball through and deft touch Iheanacho and we score from it. But other than that, I just felt that he's a wee bit lightweight, and I kind of think to myself, come back to what I was saying when I looked at that front, the middle three, and I says, I can't believe that Brendan Rodgers is doing that again. Can he not see in the past couple of games that these three guys just aren't having the same level of impact? Is it time for Engels? Is it time for McCown? Is it time for Bernardo? And I really thought we were going to get possibly two of those guys in the midfield this evening. Cal McGregor, whether you like it or not, I think that it, it takes care of itself. He's always going to pick it. And, Typhon's in this as well. He says, our captain needs to change. And that is the thing. That's exactly what I was getting at. I think that we look at it and I think to myself, that midfield three needs to be changed. And I would have went wholesale, but I'm not foolish. And I always know that whether we like it or not, he's loyal and he's always going to pick Cal McGregor. Right? Cal McGregor's in that bracket of kind of like the old guard. Kind of like, I know that Brown had an evolution. He came back better and stronger, but no, I mean that period where Brown was really having a dip, but he was always on the team sheet. He's in that kind of Brown sort of phase at the moment, and he needs to find that reinvention of what he does. He needs to find that way to get himself up and change it up and do something and become something more than what he's always been. So I can kind of, whether I like it or not, I kind of understand he'll always go to McGregor. But the other two, I cannot get my head around it. And Sandran's again saying he was our best midfielder, which is a low bar. And it comes back to exactly what I was saying, where he feels like a luxury player, where he's a moments player, where, yeah, he had his big moment tonight where he drove and he dribbled and he, took the game and says, I'm going to influence it here. But when you really look around the rest of the game, I felt that he was lightweight. He's easily brushed off the ball. He doesn't have great strength. And more often than not, those driving runs that he does don't pay off. And again, that's the beautiful thing about stats, isn't it? Because it covers a multitude of sins. Where you look at it and as he says, oh, bar, the paper will tell you, well, he set up a goal. But when you look at what else he did, was it really that great? Probably not. Then let's get some other opinions in here. I'll just flick through them. AR had Thailand sharp as a mattress, aye. And I tell you what, I think that he probably did touch a mattress and all, as did Maeda. Let me know what your thoughts on Maeda are, by the way, because he gets hooked at half time. Bold move by Brendan, and I must say, well done. Brave. But what's your thoughts on Maeda? Because I saw him. What's your thoughts on Yang? I've not really put in the past. I've got in that midfield there. And I was talking about it. Another one where I looked at Yang and I went, "Wow!" Now, if you watched, if you watched the last episode of CWO, you will know that I think the term is tore Yang a new arsehole. I am not in the Yang gang and I am not impressed. And again, I just felt that tonight was another prime example of what you will get from Yang. Now, before you mention it and before you say it, I understand that limited options. We are very left heavy. Left heavy, I get it. So we're kind of trying to put sort of square pegs in round holes. I understand that. But I can't. Does that say more about where we are as a squad? Or is that a reflection on maybe Balakwisha? Now, I know you don't like me saying that because I got a wee bit of hassle for me talking about his performances against Kelly and against Rangers. And I thought, you know what, he comes on against Partick and he's not bad. He gets limited time, I think about 20 odd minutes, but still not great, not amazing. But you look at tonight and you think, I know that he's left sided, but can we not find a way to switch it around? Taneki looks direct. Is he a guy that's going to put him over the right and he'll still do the same things? Was there maybe an opportunity to, as much as we shouldn't be going that way, play Forrest or even play Maeda there? Because I think tonight in my head, I went, is he the best striker at the club? Nah, he's not really, is he? He's clearly not a number 9. It's a purple patch that Maeda had a very good purple hat patch last year, but he's not. So we need to find ways, and particularly when you look at their left back, and it was known, it was well documented, the left back wasn't blessed with speed, wasn't blessed with a good sort of overly defensive positioning. And so I saw a lot of people sing his praises, and I thought he'd done all right tonight. But at the same time, he was never really tested or challenged. When you're playing against someone that's quite one-dimensional and quite slow and not really getting involved in the game, you're going to look quite well because you're not challenged. I just felt that that's probably something that we really should have tried to exploit tonight. So when I saw Yang on the team sheet, I was like, wow, can't believe it. What is going on there? And yeah, I won't ever sit here and say, I told you so, but I did tell you so. Yang can't be trusted. And bar one or two fleeting moments in the game where he picks up the ball and he tries to sort of do one or two Yang type things, he doesn't get the purchase. He doesn't get the effect that he wants, and he just sort of just slides out of the game. You can pretty much report him missing until he gets pulled off. And then you go, oh, Yang's on the pitch. That's right. I remember that. So, looking anyway, as I say, as the lineup comes through, we put Maeda through the middle, we get Taneki out on the left. What do you think of Taneki tonight? I thought he started bright, but then I thought he sort of became a wee bit slightly predictable. I wouldn't say he was a bad player, but he was less sort of unpredictable. He was less sort of dynamic than he had been these past two outings, where I just felt that he kept the defender was showing him the inside and he kept taking it. He just kept taking it, and it was sort of nullifying him. It was sort of really, making him ineffective, and his sort of ability to get in the ball and really influence it was quite diminished, because I thought that for larger parts, nothing was happening out on the right hand side, nothing was really happening with Yang. So when we were going through tonight, you go, right, okay, everything's focusing down that side, let's go, here we go, that's really positive. But as I say, quickly the defender got the reading on him, and just sort of show them the inside. And it wasn't until sort of late before he got taken off where he started to kind of come into it a wee bit and sort of looked like he was actually doing something there. Looking at some of the comments are coming in, says, would you have took Yang off and put Maeda in his position, Kelechi and Bernardo for that? Yeah, do you know what? Again, I still can't really understand that Bernardo doesn't get near the side. I think that's the thing that is a real head scratcher for me. The midfield three is diminishing returns at this moment in time. Again, I'll repeat, Nygren gets the assist, but Hatate's nowhere near it. He's absolutely nowhere near it, and he survives these 65 minutes. Now, he makes the bold and brave decision to hook Maeda at half time. He probably could have been doing that with one in the midfield, because by the time that Engels comes into the game, again, he doesn't do any better than the guys that went off. But at that point, the game's kind of sort of, flowing back and forward, and nobody's really got a proper foothold in the game. It's sort of like a flip a coin and let's see how this one goes. But I think that at half time, you can really properly change the shape and really influence the game from, just treating it as starting afresh. And I think that's what I'd like to see more for the manager, where it becomes a wee bit sort of braver. It was a brave decision that paid off to take Maeda off, because I didn't think that he looked interested at all in that first half. In fact, he was 11 offside. And again, I repeat, you look at it and say, is he the best striker at the club? Well, no, he isn't. He isn't. I know he plays through the middle for Japan, but go and tell me what his record through the middle for Japan is. It's not really that great. So whether we like it or not, whether I like it or not, whether you like it or not, the reality is he isn't a proper out-and-out striker. And you did see that difference. You saw that transition, I felt, once you got Iheanacho on, where it just felt that there was more of a focal point. Maeda, like Kyogo, like a lot of the guys that we've seen of that sort of size and stature, it's about that trying to ghost in, sneak in behind, make the runs. Whereas someone like Iheanacho can just stand firm in the middle. Yeah, he'll come in, he'll join up the play, and he'll go to take the ball in and move and pass and run on and so on and so forth. The kind of things that like Ida tried to do but couldn't, because he just wasn't as an accomplished footballer. You saw the quality in Iheanacho when he comes on, and he's still not fully up to fitness. But it makes you think, and you go, would it have been better to have played him for the start and tried to get a lead? Obviously, he comes on, he gives us the lead, but I mean from an early phase, and then you can adapt and you maybe have more of a foothold in the game, because it just felt like at half time, the game was sort of, they had a wee bit of confidence in it. Whereas I think if you played Iheanacho at the front end of the game, you might have had more of a foothold, more of a control, where they're the ones that are feeling a wee bit downbeat. They're not feeling as confident as perhaps they were. And you could see that, as I said, he was like a focal point. He's not a massive, huge guy or anything, but he's able to occupy defenders. He's got good movement. We saw the touch that he's got. A couple of, we've seen before, a couple of the layoffs and things that he does. He's very accomplished with the ball at his feet, and he's comfortable, and he knows how to occupy defenders, and he can make the intelligent runs, but it's not about getting in behind. And that gives us a different approach to how we attack the goal. It comes on, there's a flash across, for example, and what do you think? Do you think it could have been a penalty? I think there was a wee bit of pushing his back. I don't think it's a bad attempt. I think it's slightly in front of it, so he kind of bundles it, the goalkeeper. Actually think it's a good save. But Iheanacho, for me, totally changed it. And hopefully we can get him up to speed sooner rather than later, because I just feel that when you look at him, and it comes back to what I said to Paddy a couple of weeks ago after the transfer window shut, I goes, you just feel that because we are so light that you are really pinning your hopes on Taneke. I said Balakwisha, and I said Iheanacho. Now, Balakwisha at this moment in time has work to do, but at this moment in time, you feel like you're really kind of pinning your hopes on Iheanacho and Taneke really hitting the ground running, because as it's been saying there, people are saying, McLaughlin saying, middle to front seems like a bit of a red flag, and I do agree. We just don't seem as dynamic, and that comes back to the sheer lack of options that we've got in that squad, the lack of options that we've got from an attacking standpoint. Where is your Kenny's? Yamada's not even in the squad, for God's sake, and he is a striker. So you have to be look at that there, and you think to yourself, really? what is going on here? Look at that bench. There is no striker. You know, there's nothing really there. Oh, sorry, I brought up the wrong one. I brought up the last team lineup. My apologies. You look at that bench, you know, Kenny's there, but there's nothing really, there's nothing like you can hang your hat on and go, yeah, let's get involved with that. You know, Kenny's just there for decorations, I like to say, because if the thought with anything about it, when we go 1-0 up, and all right, they hit back about 10 minutes later, but if you really want to go for it, when you make those sort of changes, do you take Taneki off and bring on Balquisha, or do you try something completely different and really roll the dice and go with a secondary striker? And that's the thing. And you know, it's Punch saying you know, we have Yamada and we do have Kenny, yeah, we do. But again, when you look at how much they are actually featuring, it makes you wonder what the manager really thinks of these guys. And I think for me, that is sort of a wee bit concerning. But anyway, listen, we've jumped in a wee rabbit hole there, moving off on a tangent, but let's get back to the sort of positives. We threw the first half, sorry, and I felt that, as I said, the first opening 15, maybe minutes or so, I thought Celtic look all right here. They kind of get their foot in the ball, they look fairly positive. But then it was almost like you watch a Floyd Mayweather fight and he sort of lets you have a bit of control and he susses you out. And then before you know it, he's countered you. And that's very much what we got. After the sort of 20-minute stage, it was red start. They'd sussed us out. They says, right, this is what Celtic are going to do. They've got limited options. They're quite lightweight up front. And they started to really sort of turn the screw. And in quick succession, they have two great chances, two very good headed chances that, you know, we're quite fortunate to get away with. You need a wee bit of slice and luck in Europe and we get it there. But they start to really pick themselves into it. And again, between that 20, 30 odd minutes period is just, I felt like, oh, here we go. Celtic are going to Hibs it, for lack of a better term. Celtic Europe Classic. And they really start to get their foot in the ball. For example, there's one where, in particular, where there's a bit of dispute. Yang's preoccupied, the ball's out, and it's a header. He's not looking, he's too busy appealing. Quick throw in, cross into the box, and it's right at the back post. You know, and Kasper Schmeichel goes absolutely mental at him. It's things like that where we just become a wee bit sort of complacent. And then there's also some great play in that period, that first sort of half an hour to 35 minutes. But I thought, as I said at the top of the show, defensively for me, which is maybe a wee bit concerning, the defensive guys were the standouts. I thought that Scales, for all the amount of shit that that guy gets, was absolutely phenomenal tonight. He had, at least by my counting, 4 key tackles or interceptions where he was denying, you know, clean shots at goal scoring opportunities. As I said, and he was really propping up the defence when we were starting to wobble. Carter Vickers looked a bit sort of, as he has, kind of up and down. He kind of makes amends and he gets in sort of, you know, one or two good tackles late on as well in the game as well. But for me, I was really impressed by Scales, and I felt that certainly we getting through that first half, he was the guy that kept the scoreline where it needed to be to make that change, to make that brave change at halftime for us to go and kick on. In terms of some other chances in the game, as I said, the big chances for them, it was basically Red Star that had the best sort of lion's share of the chances, and they're probably kicking themselves. There's a great save from Kasper Schmeichel, where at first I didn't think it was, but you see it and it's just a flashing touch right on the bar. Absolutely top class stuff from him there. Phenomenal. Really. And then we get late on, right to the death, we get Carter Vickers' moment where he maybe kind of chokes it. He actually has 2 headers in the game, and I think they're both good opportunities. And it's the wrong guy, isn't it? It's the wrong guy that you're depending on to get on the end of those decent balls in. 2 headed opportunities, particularly the one right before halftime for me. I think that is, I heard in commentary sort of saying he's just a wee bit early and it's, you know, he's maybe behind it. But nah, I think you've got to be hitting the target and you've got to be making the sort of goal there. You've got to really, that's, for me, it felt like a sitter and it would have been a great time to score. It would have really changed the dynamic of that game getting in. But As what it is, we get through half time, nothing each, as I says. We have our opening sort of 15 minutes where I felt that we're all right. We start to slide out the game. They start to grow in confidence and they pick it up. Now, one thing that I would also say that both first and second half that I was very, high praise on was young Donovan. I don't know what you think of Donovan. Get your thoughts up there and let me know. I said to Paddy the other day, I said, we need to sack the Ralston thing. It was the big question. Was he going to play? Was Ralston going to come back because he's back in the fold? And I says, nope, you need to forget Ralston. Ralston's in the past. Ralston is yesterday's news. He's a good servant. He wears his heart on his sleeve, but it's Donovan's time. And I felt tonight he looked very comfortable. Now, again, people will caveat, as we've said, and went, do you know what? I don't think that Red Star are a phenomenal team. Far from it. But he was challenged enough, and I felt that he looked like and punching, yes, he's very good. Football's life. He was very, very positive as well. Alan Devine's on the YouTube saying, good second half performance, and we're about to touch on that. It was a good second half performance. It was a much improved second half performance, but again, it still feels like we let one slip through the net. But Donovan, what did I like about him? I thought that he was very positive on the ball. Unlike Ralston, and dare I say it, even at times, unlike Alistair Johnson, he's quick and decisive on the ball. He picks the ball up. He looks like he's comfortable carrying it. He's quite a big lad, so he covers the ground quite fast. But he always tries to look for a forward pass or a give and go, pass and then run on and take the sort of fall on from it. That's what I really, really liked about him. Good energy, good early passing, trying to encourage the play to get moving and get up the pitch. And as football's like saying as well, quite physical. You look at him, and I was actually, before I came on, there was a wee sort of stat attack that I saw on him, and I thought, do you know what? That's exactly what we need. And I'll just read it back to you. I don't know if you've seen this, but it says here Donovan had 68 touches for what that's worth in a game. He had a 67% dribble success rate. So he only tried it 3 times, but twice he was successful and got up the pitch. He won 2 tackles, again 67%. He won his ground duels 6 out of 5, 83%. That's no bad, isn't it? For a young guy that's been thrust, I think tonight was his fifth game for Celtic. He didn't look out of place. Now, we just need to chip and build on that. But could he be the next young breakthrough guy? Could he be the equivalent to Kieran Tierney back in the day? High praise, yes, very early days, but let's see what goes. I would continue to persist with him and keep playing him. I think that, we can't be looking back. And until such a time as Alistair Johnson comes back, Donovan needs to continually play. We know what Ralston offers you, but until Donovan makes an arse of it, got to keep playing him. Really, really liked what I saw out of him. And then, of course, we get in the second half. As I said, goes without saying, the headline decision was the fact that we take off Maeda, we play Iheanacho. I think that it had to happen. It really had to happen. Now, I know that it's kind of like in management, it's a wee bit of, not necessarily a faux pas, but it's like, you don't do that, you don't do that. He had to go. He had to come off. He was just off on absolutely nothing. Now, you know that I like Maeda, and I asked the question, I says, what version of Dyson Maeda are we going to get? We saw a wee bit of resilience against Kilmarnock, and there was all this sort of pulling his shirt and the fist pumping, and I didn't think he had a great game there either. He scored the goal, which was important, but he just looks like a guy, and Hart said on the commentary, he says, I think that he maybe needs a couple of games to get his head in the game. And that could be the case. It comes back to we need guys to hit the ground run. We need people to be all in for every single game. We don't have the luxury of letting guys get their shit together. And as Alan's saying, his head's gone. Perhaps it might be, I hope it's not. I hope that we can get better returns out of him. But I genuinely don't think that we're going to get returns out of him playing as a centre forward. So the quicker that we can get Iheanacho properly up to speed where he can go for the 65, the 70 minutes minimum when we make the changes, the better. Because we just look so much more dynamic and he looks so much more comfortable in that central role, being that figurehead. He's got the intelligence, he's got that genuine striker's instinct and movement where he can do multiple things. Whereas Dyson is very, to me, as a striker, one-dimensional. He wants to get in behind, and as we see when teams sit in, they're hard to break down. I don't think that was the case with Red Star tonight, but he was just so predictable, and he was living offside because he was trying to get in the shoulder, and when the ball was played forward, he was too far ahead. So it's not working. Celtic have went a long way for that sort of Ange style where it was all about quick movement and getting in behind. I would love to see more of it in the game, but we're not doing that now, so it's not going to work for it. More often than not, Maeda is going to get caught out. So as we say, we make a change out there, and it is, quite early on. We see, in my opinion, two sitters there. Say one comes for Nigrin that we touched on it early. I think when the ball falls to him, he's inside the box. He has to find a corner. He needs to be braver. He needs to have a bit more conviction with the shot. He needs to lift it, pick a corner, pick a side, and it's by the goalkeeper. He hits it almost directly at him at a sort of nice, easy level for the goalkeeper to get it. In my book, that one's a sitter, and it was very wasteful because up until that point, bar the Carter Vickers chances, one was quite fleeting, and the one before halftime where he probably should score, there were few and far in between, and we'd rode the lightning a wee bit against Red Star, so I felt we had to really capitalise on it. I got concerned, but thankfully it didn't deter him because, give or take a couple of minutes, 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes later, he pops up, he drives a season. It's the one thing in that game that I felt the Negrin really done properly good that we've seen for that pre-season. The guy we were all waxing lyrical about, we actually got to see that guy. He drives, nice ball in Iheanacho, and that's the difference with an actual bona fide striker, a proper number 9, deft touch. The first touch just kills it dead, stops, lifts it over the goalkeeper. It's a phenomenal goal. Absolutely brilliant goal for Iheanacho, and I just hope that there's more to come from her there. Balls of steel to step up against Kilmarnock and put the ball in the net so late on. And then that goal there, it's clinical. It is a great, as Robert Duck says, it's a great run for Negrin. It's the one thing, in my opinion, that he really done in that game that was positive, that was influencing the game. He'd be flashes where he'd put in a decent ball here and there, but he hadn't really shown what we were, getting all excited about when he signed it during the pre-season. Great drive, great finish by Iheanacho. Fantastic, fantastic goal there by him. Really, really positive, and hopefully that will give him a lot more confidence as well to kick on, and we can see more of that. As I said, the quicker we can get Iheanacho up to speed, the better I will be feeling that we can put games to bed sooner rather than later. Because, it takes 55 minutes to get ourselves on there, but you think to yourself, if we had a sort of figurehead like Iheanacho in that first half, it probably affects the way that we play a wee bit more because with nothing up front, because Maeda's not that kind of guy. He's not comfortable just sort of sitting on the edge of the box and waiting and making the runs or holding up the ball and giving a wee bit of give and go. He's not going to do that. So it kind of makes you one dimensional. Whereas Iheanacho there, and it's, it's insane. It's a top notch finish. It is absolutely clinical. Proper good striker's finish. But unfortunately, we then start, it's almost as if the goal awakens the stadium, it awakens Red Star, and they start to get back into it. Not through, in my opinion, massive quality, but you're turning around going, oh, they were sleeping, but they're really laden with top tier talent. Because I'll say it again, I didn't think they were. I thought they were absolutely bang average. They were essentially Dinamo Zagreb, but a wee bit more up front. And then Arnautovic gets the goal. Again, it's just, it's turgid, man. These set pieces, these crosses into the box are absolutely killing me. Now, it's funny, they asked Joe Hart in commentary, what do you think about it? Do you think that thank you very much, Dan, appreciate it. Do you think that the goalkeeper, do you think that Casper makes an arse? The ball comes over, it drifts out wide. It's by an acute angle. The guy's not going to get a shot off, but Casper runs out, he charges as if he's going to get shot off. It's a cutback. It's kind of a bit of a scramble between up to that point. I thought excellent Scales hadn't done a foot wrong, but he's beaten to the punch by Arnautovic and he scrambles it. And then I like the sort of physicality between Arnautovic and Scales, which I'm not against because I thought Scales had a fantastic game there. Thought he was played very, very well, and that's it. What's this? What year is your rock from? My top? This one. This is this a joke? 'Cause I got that wrong the last time I spoke about it. This is a classic, an absolute topper. I think we played it 97, maybe through as long as 99 we played it. But even better, get Phil O'Donnell 10 on the back, check that out. All original. This ain't no copy. It's an absolute topper. Love it. It's better. What do you think? It's better, isn't it? It's better than the away top that we had on the night. It's a kid-on version of it. But anyway, I digress. But the goal goes in, and then at that point, this is where it starts to become a bit concerning, because we could have Celtic in Europe it, because almost as instantly as the ball hits the net, 2-3 minutes later, there's a huge save for Kasper Schmeichel, a phenomenal save to keep us in the game. Because let's be honest here, I think when it started to get to that stage where, see if that goal goes in and Celtic go down 2-1, I didn't see us coming back into it. I really didn't. I thought that we had our moment. We were on top with the missed chance being an Nacho. Then we score, and you think, right, brilliant. But again, wee bit of game management. We're a wee bit sloppy for the set pieces, which is always going to be something that's going to completely do my tits in, for lack of a better term. And it just kills us. Kills us. And as McLaughlin saying, yes, two seasons at the top. Remember that? 2 seasons. Occasionally you get 3 seasons. Because you remember, we obviously had this here and the Umbro on it, and then we've done it with the NTL on it. So we had a couple of seasons out of it. Loved that. I must be honest, I prefer it with the NTL on it. This top, I prefer it with the NTL on it. But I could only get it with the Umbro and O'Donnell on it. But you're not going to take that, aren't you? So I took it. There you go. Anyway, the subs come like clockwork. 65 minutes or so, get Engels, Forrest come on for Yang and Rio Hatai, who again, Rio Hatai and Yang, I can't believe they survived that long, but they do. And then we get, shortly after, 10 minutes later, we get Balakwisha for Taneki coming on. And I just think that the game to that point really sort of fizzles out. I don't think there's too much excitement, and we get Sarachi comes on, and as always, Stefan Mahi-esque, mad as a box of frogs. He comes on and he flies in with a mad high tackle. But you know what, whatever. Typhoon is saying, am I happy with the draw? Let's bring it home. Let's know your final thoughts. Get them up and we'll bring it home. We've touched on the action, if you will. I'm happy with the draw. If I'm being honest with you, deep down, no, I'm not happy with the draw. I'm very much in a state of acceptance with the draw, in terms of we quickly lose the the equaliser. And as I said, with a couple of scares where they were really pushing on the gas, and I felt fortunate that we rode the lightning. We showed a wee bit of maturity and a bit of discipline to not concede again, whilst the wee slice of luck. But I am in the Dinamo Zagreb bracket with this. When I look at it, I thought, good start from Celtic, positive start from Celtic. Then a stage where we kind of lost a bit of control. The manager changed it. We start to get in the end ascendancy. We look comfortable. We score the goal and think we're going to kick on. And then we concede. So I am not happy, because I saw enough in the game to think, when the going was good for us, that we should have been better. We should have capitalised. I look at some of the chances as well. The Nigrin chance, the back post header from Carter Vickers, sliding those moments that you need to be better in. And that's what it's all about, taking your chances. There were some good saves from Kasper Schmeichel. There was some great defending from Scales, great defending from Carter Vickers. But when they had their one moment, their one spill chance, they take it. And that's what Celtic really should have done tonight. As I say, the one at the back post before half-time, Carter Vickers got to hit the net. He's got to at least force a save, or even if he hits the woodwork or something, it needs to be anywhere other than out the pitch. Right? It needs to be hitting the frame of the goal or getting blocked or something like that. But I think he should score. Nigrin, great chance inside the box. He needs to have more conviction. He needs to lift the ball. He needs to put it in the net. Wasted chance. The Iheanacho one where it flashes across, again, I think to be honest, if it goes in the net, I think Nigrin's probably offside. I think it's Nigrin is offside and it probably gets called back. Obviously, it goes to a corner, it doesn't matter, but I think if it goes in the net, it's probably getting cut off. So I kind of don't hold that against him. I actually think it's a good save by the goalkeeper, Brave. But yeah, I just feel that with the chances that we had, we weren't clinical enough. Now, maybe that's a wee bit about following the wrong people or just not having that level of quality. But that's why I'm disappointed with the draw, because I seen enough decent chances that we should have converted. And if we convert those chances, if we score before half time, it's a different setup in that second half. If we, Negrin scores, there you go. It's You're 1-0 up, and then does the second goal harm for me and actual? Who knows? But probably it'll lifts everybody a wee bit and it'll lifts him as well. So chances are it probably does. You score a wee bit earlier and then you kick on and maybe knocks the stuffing out of them. That's where I'm at with it. I think when you look at it over the piece, I will take the draw. And I hope that, any point away is better than a loss away, of course it is. And then the whole, 8 games of this campaign, a point away is better than nothing. On especially, it's always good to get a positive result. It's always good to get something on the board from the off. But I just don't think that for me, I just felt that it was a wee bit of a sort of a slip. But I do also put that down again. I know I'm wanting my cake and eat it here, but I also feel as well that that's just a wee bit down to the fact that we are so light, and I think that that could be telling in some of the tougher tests of this group, because I didn't think by any stretch of the imagination that Red Star were a particularly great team. I really don't. I thought that Arnautovic, as we all know, he was a very good striker, a good focal point, very physical, and he could put himself about. Outside of him, I didn't feel that they had any particular great, you know, players that were constantly troubling us. So that's why I'm a bit underwhelmed with the point. So that hopefully that answers your thoughts on it. But yeah, as I say, I think that taking a point away is better than not. But when you're 1-0 ahead, I think that it's you've got to have a wee bit sort of more maturity, and you need to iron out the sort of creases in your game. And unfortunately for us, it's always cross balls in the box. It's always set pieces, and it's really something that we're going to have to work on. We're going to have to get better at, because when you look at some of the games that we're going to be playing, some of the teams that we're going to be playing, there will be a better, sort of level of quality. You know, have a look at that. Braga, do we think Sturm Graz, they don't get beat Midtjylland? Not a great side. I'm really looking at Feyenoord, I'm looking at Roma, and I'm probably looking at Bologna, but maybe a sleeping one there that people are taking for granted. When I look at all these games, the reality is I expect Celtic to get enough points in this group to get through. And dare I say it and whisper it, despite what I've said about the lack of depth and lack of quality, there's no reason why this Celtic side couldn't get direct qualification. Now, I'll ask you the question: do you think that this side are better than Philippe Clement's Rangers side for last season that managed to get direct qualification? Well, in my opinion, I think they are. I don't know what that says about the Rangers side, but I think that we are every bit as good. And I think the games that we've got, bar Feyenoord and bar Roma, there's nothing massive there. There's nothing massive. If we can't get home wins, maybe with the exception perhaps of Roma, but even then, get something from that. If we can't get home wins for those games, then I'd be pretty concerned. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself and sort of obviously say we're going to do this and we'll do the next thing, but people have says, oh, if Celtic get into the Europa League, we do this, that, and the next thing. And that's what Alan's saying, 14 points. Could you get 14 points at that? Aye. I don't see why not. I really, really don't see why not. I think it's going to come down to how quickly we can click in the forward areas. Now, I know it's state the obvious, Steve-O. Taneki looks like a bright spark. It wasn't vintage tonight. It wasn't anywhere near as good as the last 2 games. And again, I know Camargue and Thistle are nowhere near as good as the standard that Red Star were, despite them not being fantastic as a European team. But if he can continue and he can grow in confidence, I think if Iheanacho can get himself up to fitness, and then we'll just play it by ear out in the night, we'll see what happens out there. But if we can get those guys clicking and we can start scoring goals, then there's absolutely no reason why, because defensively, we are actually quite good. And we showed that tonight. Yes, with that slip, with that typical sort of sleeping at the wheel moment where cross balls, bloody well, cross somebody might do a wee bit of sort of trainer in this, a wee bit of scouting, a wee bit of data or whatever, because how we cannot get better. I said it before, set piece expert for defending them and for actually taking some an attacking standpoint, get somebody in, let's work on that. But defensively, we're actually quite decent. But we find ourselves in that sort of strange position where we don't concede a lot of goals, but we're not scoring a lot of goals. So there could be there could be a lot of draws in there, and I'll take those draws away from home, so long as we get the business done for the home game there. But now it just sort of brings forward, I'm sure the manager will be happy. A point on the board, a decent performance, flashes, but I think that the big takeaway looking at the game against Hibs at the weekend for me is something's got to give. There has to be changes made, and I hope that the manager, for crying out loud, is brave to do it. The midfield is still the big thing for me that needs to change desperately. Rio Hatai at this moment in time has ran his race for me. I think it's time for him to get a rest, to get put out the picture. I think that Benjamin Negrin, yeah, he gets the assist tonight in these moments. I think he could be doing with a wee reminder that his place isn't guaranteed. And I would even say that about Cal McGregor. But we all know, playing against Hibs, going to be an attacking team, it's going to be a juicy game. He will play Cal McGregor, but I think the other two are really, 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 really up for debate. I would probably go with Ian Acho again. I think that he had a decent outing in his second half performance. He's got a good goal. He needs that sharpness. And again, I come back to it. With Hibs in the way that they are, we need to make sure that we're capitalising early on and trying to get ahead early on. And I think we've got a better chance of doing that with a proper focal point striker on the pitch. Maybe that means that we shoehorn and move Maeda out to the right and test him as a winger, because the right is absolutely stinking at the moment. And then we stick with Taneki. But I think come the weekend, massive game, some changes need to be made, and we'll take it from there and see how things go on. So anyway, listen, I have kept you long enough. We're just about to go at 12 o'clock there. As I say, it's fine tonight, so it's a wee bit tough there. Thank you to everybody that's watched tonight. Thank you if you have subscribed. Thank you for the donation to Dan there and everybody else. So I will get out your here. I will join you throughout the course of the week. I'll get some of the guys back on. We'll probably cover over the fallout for this. We'll maybe talk about results elsewhere once we see who we're playing, what their results were, and sort of if that gives us any clues as to what to expect. And of course, we'll look ahead towards the big game at the weekend as we take on Hibs. That's going to be a huge game. It's definitely a tough game, but hopefully tonight gives us a wee bit of a spring in our step. Yeah, it wasn't quite the result that we wanted, but I do feel that there's a wee bit of sort of heart to be taken from a result like that, particularly when we had multiple scares. The fact that we were able to navigate the game, and again, it's scant consolation. I know that it maybe shows that the bar's reduced a wee bit, but as we well know, see when we quickly lose a goal, and then, as we said, with that scare where great save for Casper, in years gone by, you might fold. And I felt that at points in this game tonight, albeit not perfect, we showed a decent level of discipline and maturity, particularly from a defensive standpoint. So I think that's something to build on, and hopefully we can take that going forward. The one thing, just a footnote that I will say is tonight the team looked as if they had slightly adapted and changed in game with what they were doing, or at least the manager had. Please apply that to the league, because we always do this, don't we? What did we do last season in Europe? We adapted game to game to game. But in the league, we played the same lineup, we played the same formation, we played the same tactics, and hoped that it would just work. Let's not do that. Let's adopt what we do in Europe, adapting to the league. And if we do that, we'll be all right. So anyway, take care of yourselves. Until next time, I'll see you later, and hail, hail. Bye-bye.